Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope we all had a wonderful week, and hopefully, we're getting ready for the weekend. I've got an update for you on what to expect this weekend as well as going into next week. We've seen a couple of changes in the models, nothing too crazy, but definitely something that we need to talk about as we get ready for kind of just what to expect overall next week. I am still expecting kind of a return to summertime going into the beginning of next week, but some of us going into the middle of next week could kind of get a bit of a pause on that summertime atmosphere and kind of get a little bit cooler and a little drier in the air. So if that's your kind of thing, I'll talk about who can, potentially expect that. But overall, still looking at a pretty big summertime pattern going into next week. A couple of housekeeping things. Again, I won't have a video out tomorrow because I won't, I'm not doing videos on Saturdays right now. Also, I have a final tomorrow anyway, so I wouldn't have been able to work out anyway, but I'll definitely be back on Sunday with another update for you before I kind of wrap things up and get back home in South Carolina going into later next week. So that'll be kind of fun, be kind of exciting. I might, again, have to kind of change the upload schedule a little bit, but I'm not expecting anything too crazy with that will impact the channel. With all that said, though, let's go ahead and get into your forecast. So we'll start with the radar here. And again, we do have kind of this area of showers over the southeast that we were talking about. Here in Charlotte, though, I mean, the sun is still out. So these clouds and this rain really hasn't been quite as bad as it looked a couple days ago. And again, I do still expect this to kind of continue to push off to the east a little bit. But the models have really kind of backed down on kind of just how much rain we will see with this. So that is definitely some good news. But also, we have kind of some rain up here into the Midwest that we're watching, but nothing too crazy ongoing with that right now. And then the same story up here in the Northeast, some scattered showers, which has really just been ongoing all week. So I'm sure that's nothing new or surprising to you folks up in that part of the country. Now, taking a look at satellite, again, we do have some clouds with these showers in the south, but for a lot of us, it really hasn't been all that bad. So areas kind of south of Charlotte and east of there, getting in on a lot of that rain back towards Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. But most of the mid-Atlantic through Virginia and much of the state of North Carolina, overall, we've had a really nice Friday. And the same can be said here through sections of the Midwest up here into Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and even a lot of Illinois. We've had a very nice Saturday today. Now, as we go into the next couple of days, I am expecting some severe weather. Even starting today, we kind of have two distinct areas of higher chances of severe weather. One down here into Texas, and then another up here into sections of Nebraska and northwestern Kansas as well, having that kind of threat of some severe storms going into this evening and overnight tonight. Now, as we move this into tomorrow, we kind of move that area of storms and kind of especially the bullseye of that over the St. Louis area, but really anywhere from kind of central Texas all the way up through really the Des Moines area has that chance of severe weather tomorrow, but really just kind of that bullseye being here over the St. Louis area. Then as we get into Sunday, we're expecting, again, more severe weather kind of in that same place that we're expecting it tomorrow. And also kind of a sneaky area here into Ohio. And I think we could get, quite a strong line of storms here to kind of move from Ohio down into the mid-Atlantic. And that's something I'm watching for on Sunday. Right now, we only have a marginal risk for Ohio and kind of Detroit area. But I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this kind of get expanded further to the south and east for your Sunday. And we'll take a look at that on some of our models here. So we'll start this out going into this afternoon. Again, kind of that threat of strong storms down here into Texas and also kind of back up into this area that we were talking about. You'll see some storms fire up that direction. But another thing I want you to notice as we go into tonight, a lot of this rain that is falling over sections of the southeast really doesn't look to be too crazy. And a lot of the models, again, have really been backing down and kind of drying us out a lot sooner. So I'm not saying it's not going to rain, but what I am saying is it might not be quite as bad as we originally expected. And even as we get into Saturday afternoon, where we were kind of expecting, pretty widespread showers in the southeast, looks a lot nicer now than originally expected. So that's definitely good. We've had quite a lot of rainy weekends, so we kind of deserve to have a nicer one. And I think we might get that a little bit more than we originally expected this weekend. Now, also going into Saturday afternoon, we're going to have to watch for more storms to fire off here into the Midwest like we talked about, and also back down towards the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Definitely watching that area as well for some stronger storms on Saturday. And then as we get into Sunday, again, I want you to watch this area of storms that kind of forms here into Michigan and works through Ohio, and then even by the time we get to Sunday afternoon, areas further to the south and east. And you'll notice that forms there into Michigan, and then as we go through Sunday afternoon, this line of storms really books it off to the south and east. And I'm definitely worried that this could become quite a windy mess with this area of storms going into Sunday afternoon. So we're definitely going to watch that as that potentially gets as far south as Virginia on Sunday afternoon and evening. So definitely watching out for that as well. Now, as we bring this out on more of a national scale and looking at the overall pattern we're expecting, again, I just showed you what we're expecting this weekend, but as we get into Monday, this kind of ridge that is currently over sections of the East Coast and has been giving us kind of this clear weather recently and helping to dry things out is going to kind of begin to move offshore. And with that, we're going to get a change in the wind directions from kind of northerly, helping to bring in cooler, drier air, to a southerly flow. And that is going to help to bring up more of that Gulf moisture as well as that kind of just, warm air from the south. And it's going to feel a lot more like summer going into your next Monday and Tuesday. Now, with that, also kind of this big area of elongated low pressure that we have could also help to fire up some storms early next week for really just about anywhere here in the east and southeast. So I'm definitely watching that, especially areas here from Dallas over through the southeast, even up through the mid-Atlantic has a chance at some of those storms. Kind of going into early next week with those, or with that very strong daytime heating we get, that always, helps to fire up that convection as we see a lot of times during the summer. But one thing the models have kind of really been getting a little more in tune with is this big area of high pressure potentially sliding back into the East Coast going into later next work week. So with this, if this does happen, we could get a very quick return to more spring-like weather compared to that summertime weather. If we do get kind of this wedge of cold air to build in here to the East Coast, that could definitely help to bring those temperatures down and also those dew points down, so it likely won't feel quite as muggy. So we're definitely watching out for that, but I doubt that lasts forever, and eventually I'm sure that will also kind of work its way out and bring back a southerly flow. But that's so far kind of out into the future that we have plenty of time to monitor that rather. So taking a look at kind of what all that means in terms of precipitation, this is going into Monday afternoon. Again, you notice this big area of showers, and not everywhere in this kind of green area is going to see rain, but what this just means is we could get some scattered showers and scattered storms Monday afternoon. And even going into Tuesday afternoon here, you'll notice, again, just kind of this area of those showers and potentially some storms firing up here into the eastern and southeastern part of the country during the first 2 days of next week before potentially, again, we get this wedge to kind of try to build in, and that could help to fight off some more rain that will try to move into areas outside of that wedge of cooler air. So we're definitely going to watch for that. And again, that wedge really tries to hang on next week. So we'll definitely watch that. And we'll be able to talk more about that as we get into next week. But right now, what I am seeing is definitely a summertime kind of pattern going into Monday and Tuesday, and then potentially cooler, drier weather for areas, especially in the mid-Atlantic, going into kind of later next work week. The other big story here is kind of just how muggy it's going to feel out there, and a good way to look at that is the dew point. And you'll notice we're already getting kind of this return of these, very high dew point values with that very muggy air to the plains right now, and that is what is helping to cause some of these severe storms that we're dealing with. But as we get into early next week, especially into Monday and Tuesday, I expect these dew points to really return for much of us. So anything above 60 is whenever it really starts to feel kind of sticky outside. Anything above 65 is whenever it gets kind of uncomfortable. And then once you get into the 70s, that's just, downright not fun at all to kind of have to experience. So, a lot of us will be getting those dew points up into the 70s early next week, and even widespread areas above 65 here into the southeast as well next week, before, again, potentially that wedge of cold air kind of tries to move in and help to dry us out a little bit and, bring those dew points to more comfortable levels in the mid-Atlantic next week. So we'll definitely watch that. But if you're kind of down here into Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, I'm expecting really just all-out summertime for much of next week. Really even areas up here through the Mississippi River Valley. It's kind of this mid-Atlantic northeast area that I think has the better shot of having more of a spring-like atmosphere later next week compared to the rest of the country. Now, talking about those temperatures, again, I looked at the dew points there, but what are we, seeing in terms of temperature trends? Going into early next week, again, it looks quite warm. This is Monday afternoon. You see these widespread reds showing up, indicating that warmer than average, temperatures, and then that even continues into Tuesday before, again, we have to watch out after that to see if some of these blues try to sneak in and cool us down a little bit going into the kind of middle and second half of next work week. So again, we've got some severe weather right now we're dealing with this weekend. We got that return to summertime going into early next week. And then, maybe another cool down for some of us in the mid-Atlantic during the second half of next week. But overall, next week just looks really a lot like summertime and springtime for many of us, with just really kind of, very muggy air out. So with all that said, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And again, to remind you, won't have a video out tomorrow. But if you'd like, you can always wish me luck on my exam. If, you kind of in that mood tomorrow, and you show up to watch when I normally have a video and I don't have it, kind of say a prayer for me because I'll need it. Anyway, with all that said, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you all on Sunday.